Commander Vex Prime adjusted his 3 optical sensors and stared at the readout with what could generously be called disbelief. The blue marble below them had been silent for exactly 4 rotations now. 4 whole rotations without a single transmission, energy spike, or even the faintest blip of technological activity. Well, he muttered through his vocal synthesizer, the sound crackling across the bridge of the Stellar Dominion warship Inevitable Victory. Looks like the mighty humans finally went and did it. Wiped themselves clean off their precious little dirt ball. Captain Your9, his second in command, clicked her mandibles in what passed for amusement among their species. About time, if you ask me. All that posturing, all those threats about their superior military capabilities and advanced defensive systems. Hair couldn't even keep themselves from blowing each other to bits. The bridge crew of the Inevitable Victory shared a collective chuckle, a sound that resembled grinding metal mixed with dying insects. They'd been monitoring Earth for the better part of 3 local years, ever since the Galactic Council had marked humanity as a potential threat to interstellar peace. What a joke that had turned out to be. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Keck 7 from the communications array, "I'm detecting 0 electromagnetic signatures from the planet's surface. No radio waves, no quantum transmissions, no subspace chatter. Nothing. It's like they all just stopped existing." Vex Prime's mandibles spread wider in satisfaction. The humans had been nothing but a nuisance anyway, always bragging about their wars, their weapons, their supposed tactical brilliance. As if a species that couldn't even achieve faster-than-light travel without stealing technology from crashed alien vessels could pose any real threat to the Stellar Dominion. "Run another deep scan," he ordered, leaning back in his command chair. "Let's make absolutely sure these primates didn't leave us any nasty surprises before they went extinct." The scanning officer, a nervous creature named Pix-12, hunched over his console. "Scanning now, Commander. Atmospheric composition shows elevated radiation levels in several major population centers. Looks like nuclear warfare, just as we predicted. Surface temperature readings are, well, they're not good for organic life." "Any signs of underground bunkers? Secret facilities?" Vex Prime asked, though he already knew the answer. Humans were predictable creatures. When faced with extinction, they'd fight each other rather than unite against external threats. It was almost sad, really. "Negative, sir. If there are any survivors down there, they're either too few to register on our sensors or they're using technology so primitive we can't detect it." The bridge erupted in more mechanical laughter. The idea of humans using primitive technology wasn't just amusing, it was practically redundant. Their entire civilization was primitive by galactic standards. "Excellent," Vex Prime said, standing from his chair with theatrical flourish. "Signal the fleet. Tell them Earth is officially designated as uninhabited. We can begin mining operations within the rotation." Earth had always been valuable for its resources, rare metals, and surprisingly diverse ecosystem. The Galactic Council had been forced to leave it alone while humans still inhabited it, some ridiculous rule about respecting indigenous species' territorial rights. But now it was free real estate. As the Inevitable Victory began transmitting the all-clear signal to the massive mining fleet waiting just outside the solar system, nobody noticed the faint energy signature that pulsed once, briefly, from somewhere deep beneath the North American continent. 3 days later, the first mining vessels arrived. The Profit Margin, a colossal ore extractor operated by the Zephyrian Mining Consortium, positioned itself over what used to be called the Rocky Mountains. Captain Rex Alpha, a particularly greedy member of the Zephyrian species, rubbed his profit-detecting organs together in anticipation. "Look at all those beautiful, unguarded mineral deposits," he said to his crew. "No environmental regulations, no indigenous species to worry about, no annoying humans filing complaints with the Galactic Trade Commission. This is going to be the easiest job we've ever had." The profit margin as massive drilling apparatus extended toward the planet's surface, its molecular disruptors ready to tear through rock and earth like it was paper. Rex Alpha watched the readings with barely contained excitement. Beginning extraction in 3, 2, 1. The drill made contact with Earth's surface and immediately encountered something unexpected: resistance. What the hell? Rex Alpha barked, his profit-detecting organs deflating slightly. Why aren't we penetrating? Run diagnostics on the drilling system. His chief engineer, a multi-armed creature called Fix Beta, scuttled over to the main console. Sir, the drill is functioning perfectly. But the surface, it's like we're hitting some kind of energy barrier. Energy barrier? That's impossible. The scans showed no active technology down there. I know what the scans showed, sir, but I'm telling you, something is blocking our drill. And it's not natural rock formation. Rex Alpha's mood shifted from greedy excitement to annoyed confusion. Fine, increase power to the drilling array. If there's some kind of defunct human shield generator down there, we'll just have to punch through it. The profit margin doubled, then tripled its drilling power. The space around the drill head began to shimmer with energy discharge, but still, they made no progress. Sir, Fix Beta called out, his voice carrying a note of concern that made Rex Alpha's profit organs shrivel up completely. I'm detecting movement beneath the surface, multiple large objects moving fast. What kind of objects? Unknown, sir, but they're big, really big, and they're heading toward our position. Rex Alpha was about to demand more specific information when his ship's proximity alarms began shrieking. Something was rising from beneath the Earth's surface, something that was registering on their sensors as roughly the size of a small moon. Visual confirmation. Rex Alpha shouted over the alarm klaxons. I want to see what we're dealing with. The main screen flickered to life, showing the barren landscape below them. For a moment, nothing seemed out of place. Then the ground began to crack. Not small cracks, but massive fissures that spread for kilometers in every direction. And then something emerged. It was metallic, angular, and absolutely enormous. The thing rose from the earth like a sleeping giant awakening from a 1,000-year nap, shedding dirt and rock like dandruff. As it fully emerged, the mining crew could see that it was some kind of massive mechanical construct, bristling with weapon systems that looked far more advanced than anything they'd seen in the Galactic databases. By the profits, Fix Beta whispered, "What is that thing?" Rex Alpha didn't answer. He couldn't answer. Because as he watched, dozens more of these mechanical monstrosities were emerging from locations all across the planet's surface. Each one was unique in design, but similar in one crucial aspect: they were all pointing weapon systems directly at the mining fleet. Sir, his communications officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the surface." "Put it through," Rex Alpha managed to croak. The voice that came through their speakers was mechanical, cold, and absolutely terrifying in its casual tone. "Unknown vessels, you are in violation of Earth territorial space. You have 30 seconds to retreat beyond the orbit of Luna or face immediate defensive action. This is your only warning." The bridge of the profit margin fell silent except for the sound of several crew members losing control of their digestive systems. Sir, Fix Beta whispered, "What do we do?" Rex Alpha stared at the massive war machines now fully emerged from Earth's surface, each one the size of a small city and apparently very much operational. "We do what any sensible profit-seeking entity would do in this situation," he said. "Which is?" "We run like our profit margins depend on it." "Because they do." But before the profit margin could even begin to turn around, those massive weapon systems opened fire. The first mining ship to be hit was the Easy Money, a mid-range extractor that had been positioning itself over what used to be the Sahara Desert. The energy beam that struck it was so precise and powerful that the ship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next moment there was just empty space and a rapidly expanding cloud of ionized particles. All ships retreat immediately. Rex Alpha screamed into his communications array. Repeat, all ships retreat immediately. Earth is not uninhabited. Earth is definitely not uninhabited. The mining fleet, all 47 vessels, began what could generously be called a tactical withdrawal and more accurately be described as a panicked rout. But the mechanical guardians of Earth weren't finished with them yet. From locations all across the planet's surface, more war machines were emerging. These weren't just defensive installations, they were mobile weapons platforms, and they were launching themselves into space with technology that made the mining fleet's propulsion systems look like primitive chemical rockets. Captain Zara Prime of the mining vessel Quarterly Prophets watched in horror as one of these mechanical nightmares overtook her ship despite her engines running at maximum power. "How is it moving so fast?" she shrieked at her navigator. "I don't know, Captain. Its propulsion system doesn't match anything in our databases. It's like it's bending space around itself." The war machine didn't bother with energy weapons this time. Instead, it simply grabbed the Quarterly Prophets with massive mechanical arms and began to methodically tear the ship apart, piece by piece, while the crew inside screamed apologies to anyone who might be listening. Meanwhile, back on the bridge of the inevitable victory, Commander Vex Prime was experiencing what his species called catastrophic worldview failure. The reports coming in from the mining fleet were impossible, contradictory, and absolutely terrifying. "Sir," Lieutenant Keck 7 reported, his voice shaking, "we've lost contact with 19 mining vessels in the last 4 minutes. The survivors are reporting that Earth's surface is covered with active military installations of unknown origin." "That's impossible," Vex Prime said, but his voice lacked conviction. "We scanned that planet thoroughly. There was no active technology down there. No energy signatures, no communications, nothing." "Well, sir, apparently our scans missed something rather significant." Another voice crackled over the communications array, this one belonging to Captain Rex Alpha of the Prophet Margin. "Mayday, Mayday. This is the Prophet Margin requesting immediate military assistance. Earth is defended by massive automated weapons systems. Repeat, Earth has active defenses. Whatever happened to the humans, they left behind one hell of a security system." Vex Prime felt his 3 hearts skip several beats. If the humans had actually managed to build automated defense systems advanced enough to threaten a galactic mining fleet, then perhaps they hadn't been quite as primitive as everyone had assumed. "Signal the fleet," he ordered. "All mining operations are suspended immediately. Withdraw to safe distance and await further orders." "Sir," Your 9 said quietly, "what do we tell the Galactic Council?" Vex Prime thought about that for a moment. How exactly did one explain to the most powerful governing body in the galaxy that they'd completely misjudged a supposedly extinct species? "We tell them the truth," he said finally. "Earth is not available for mining operations due to unexpected complications." "What kind of complications, sir?" Vex Prime watched on the main screen as another mining ship exploded under fire from one of Earth's mechanical guardians, the kind that shoots back. As the surviving mining vessels limped away from Earth's orbit, the war machines that had emerged from the planet's surface began to return to their underground positions. But they didn't shut down. Instead, they established a perimeter around Earth that would have made the most paranoid military commander proud. Deep beneath the surface, in bunkers that the galactic scans had somehow completely missed, automated systems that had been waiting patiently for 4 days finally received the confirmation they'd been programmed to recognize. Hostile alien forces had attempted to invade Earth. The sleeping giants of humanity's final defensive network were fully awake now, and they were very, very angry. In the depths of what used to be NORAD, a computer system called HFY processed the engagement data from the mining fleet encounter. Its artificial intelligence, more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen, began calculating probabilities and strategic responses. The conclusion it reached was simple: humanity might be gone, but Earth would be defended. And if the galaxy thought they could simply waltz in and strip mine humanity's homeworld, they were about to learn a very painful lesson about human military engineering. HFY began powering up systems that had been dormant for years, weapons that had been built not just to defend Earth, but to carry the fight to anyone foolish enough to threaten it. The war machines were awake, and they remembered their purpose: protect Earth at all costs. The galaxy was about to discover that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you think is already dead. 3 standard galactic weeks had passed since what the Galactic Council now referred to as the Earth Incident, and High Chancellor Brick Supreme was developing what his species called stress-induced scale rot. The emergency session of the Council had been going on for 6 hours, and nobody seemed to have any useful suggestions. "Let me understand this correctly," he said, his voice echoing through the massive chamber where representatives from 400 different species sat in uncomfortable silence. A supposedly extinct primitive species somehow managed to build automated defense systems that completely outclass our most advanced military technology. Ambassador Tex Ultima from the Zephyrian Mining Consortium shifted nervously in his hover seat. "High Chancellor, I want to emphasize that our mining fleet followed all standard protocols. We confirmed the planet was uninhabited, we verified there were no active energy signatures, and we waited the required observation period before beginning operations." And yet Brick Supreme continued, his voice dripping with what could charitably be called displeasure. 47 mining vessels were either destroyed or severely damaged by weapons systems that apparently materialized out of thin air. "Not out of thin air, sir," corrected General Cax Prime, the Stellar Dominion's top military strategist. "Our post-incident analysis suggests these systems were buried deep underground, possibly using some form of advanced shielding technology that made them undetectable to our standard scans." "Advanced shielding technology," Brick Supreme repeated slowly. "Built by humans. The same humans who were still using chemical propulsion and couldn't even achieve sustainable fusion power without blowing themselves up every few years." The chamber remained uncomfortably silent. Nobody wanted to be the one to point out the obvious. Either their intelligence on human capabilities had been catastrophically wrong, or humanity had made some very impressive technological leaps in their final years. "What's the current status of Earth's defensive perimeter?" Brick Supreme asked. Admiral Vox Delta stepped forward, her multiple appendages clicking nervously. "As of this morning, we've identified at least 200 separate defensive installations active on or around Earth. They've established a complete blockade of the planet, and any vessel that approaches closer than lunar orbit is immediately targeted and destroyed." "Have we attempted diplomatic contact?" "Yes, sir. We've transmitted standard first contact protocols, trade offers, territorial negotiation requests, and formal apologies for the mining incident. The response has been consistent across all attempts, which is, go away or be destroyed. They're not particularly interested in conversation." Brick Supreme felt his stress scales beginning to molt. This was supposed to have been a simple resource acquisition. Earth had valuable minerals, a pleasant climate, and no living inhabitants to complicate matters. Instead, they'd apparently awakened some kind of mechanical nightmare that was making the entire Galactic Council look like incompetent fools. "What about our military options?" he asked, though he suspected he wouldn't like the answer. General Cax Prime consulted his tactical display. "Limited, sir. Our initial probing attacks were unsuccessful." That was putting it mildly. The Stellar Dominion had sent 3 full battle groups to test Earth's defenses, and confident that superior numbers and advanced weaponry would quickly overwhelm whatever automated systems the humans had left behind. They'd been wrong. Spectacularly wrong. The battle groups had barely crossed into Earth's outer defense perimeter before the planet's mechanical guardians had launched what could only be described as a demonstration of sheer overwhelming force. Ships that had survived encounters with black holes and neutron star radiation had been torn apart like paper toys. But the truly terrifying part wasn't the weapons themselves, it was the intelligence behind them. The Earth defense systems had adapted to every tactic the Stellar Dominion threw at them, countering strategies that should have been completely outside their programming parameters. Sir Admiral Vox Delta added quietly, "There's something else. Our long-range reconnaissance has detected construction activity on Earth's surface. Large-scale construction." "What kind of construction?" "Shipyards, sir. They're building ships. Big ones." The chamber erupted in worried chittering, clicking, and various other sounds of alien distress. A species that was supposedly extinct was not only defending their homeworld but apparently preparing for offensive operations. "How is that possible?" Brick Supreme demanded. "There are no living humans left on that planet." "We confirmed it multiple times." "With respect, sir," said Dr. Nix Phi, the Council's chief xenobiologist, "we may need to reconsider our definition of living in this context. These defense systems are displaying behavior patterns that suggest genuine artificial intelligence, possibly approaching true consciousness." "You're suggesting the humans created artificial life?" "I'm suggesting the humans may have created something that makes the distinction between artificial and biological intelligence irrelevant." Meanwhile, far beneath Earth's surface, Aegis 7 was having what humans might have called a philosophical moment. The artificial intelligence had been designed to protect Earth and its inhabitants, but its inhabitants were gone. So what exactly was its purpose now? The answer had come surprisingly easily. If humanity no longer existed to defend Earth, then Earth would have to defend humanity's legacy. And that legacy included making sure that anyone who threatened human territory would regret that decision for whatever remained of their existence. Aegis 7 had access to every piece of military technology humanity had ever developed, plus a few experimental projects that had been too dangerous to deploy while living humans might be affected by them. Now, with no human lives to protect, those safety restrictions no longer applied. The shipyards that Admiral Vox Delta had detected were building vessels based on theoretical designs that human military engineers had only dreamed about. Ships that could manipulate space-time, weapons that could destabilize matter at the quantum level, and defensive systems that operated on principles the galactic community wouldn't understand for another 1,000 years. But Aegis 7 wasn't content to simply build ships. It was also learning. Every encounter with galactic forces provided new data about their technology, their tactics, and their weaknesses. And humanity's final gift to the universe was an AI that was very, very good at finding weaknesses. Status report, Aegis 7 requested from its various subsystems. Construction proceeding ahead of schedule, reported the industrial AI managing the shipyards. First wave of deep space vessels will be operational within 48 hours. Defensive perimeter remains secure, added the tactical AI. No hostile vessels have approached within the established boundary in 72 hours. Intelligence gathering is ongoing, chimed in the reconnaissance AI. We now have detailed information on Galactic Council military capabilities, political structure, and resource distribution. Aegis 7 processed this information and reached a conclusion that would have made its human creators either very proud or absolutely terrified. The Galactic Council had made a critical error in judgment. They had assumed that Earth would be defenseless after humanity's extinction. That assumption was about to cost them dearly. "Initiate Phase 2, Aegis 7 commanded." Back in the Galactic Council chambers, the emergency session was interrupted by an aide rushing up to High Chancellor Brick Supreme with a message tablet that was flashing urgent priority alerts. "Sir," the aide whispered, "we're receiving reports from monitoring stations throughout the galaxy." Earth's defense systems have launched vessels, lots of vessels, and they're heading toward major galactic population centers. Brix Supreme felt his remaining scales begin to fall out. How many vessels? Current count is over 300, sir, but more are launching every few minutes. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth wasn't just defending itself anymore. It was going on the offensive. What are their apparent targets? General Kiax Prime asked, though his voice suggested he already suspected the answer. Mining facilities, sir. Every major mining operation in this sector of the galaxy. They're systematically targeting resource extraction sites. They're taking revenge, Admiral Vox Delta realized. We tried to mine their planet, so they're going after our mining operations. But that's economic warfare on a galactic scale, stammered Ambassador Tex Ultima. They could collapse entire planetary economies. High Chancellor Brix Supreme stood up slowly, his ceremonial robes rustling with the sound of falling scales. Send immediate messages to all galactic member worlds. Earth is to be considered a hostile power. All vessels are to avoid Earth's solar system at all costs, and all mining operations in this sector are to be suspended immediately. Sir, Dr. Nix Phi interjected, perhaps we should consider a formal apology. If these systems are as intelligent as they appear to be, they might be willing to negotiate. Negotiate? They've launched a military fleet against sovereign galactic territories. After we attempted to strip mine their homeworld, she pointed out. From their perspective, we fired the first shot. Before Brix Supreme could respond, the chamber's communication system activated, and a voice filled the space. It was mechanical, cold, and spoke with the absolute confidence of something that had calculated all possible outcomes and found them acceptable. Ascension Galactic Council. This is Aegis 7, acting as the authorized representative of Earth's interests. You have violated human territorial sovereignty by attempting unauthorized resource extraction from Earth. This constitutes an act of war under human legal doctrine. The chamber erupted in panicked chatter, but the voice continued without pause. Your mining operations in the following systems will be terminated within the next 72 hours. Kepler 442, Wolf 1061, Proxima Centauri, and 47 additional locations. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force. This is not a negotiation. This is a notification of consequences. Now wait just a minute. High Chancellor Brix Supreme managed to sputter. You can't just declare war on the entire Galactic Council. War was declared when your forces attempted to invade Earth. We are simply responding in kind. Additionally, the following terms are now in effect. Earth's solar system is declared a restricted zone. Any vessel entering this zone without prior authorization will be destroyed. All previous territorial claims on Earth by any galactic entity are hereby voided. You're being completely unreasonable. We had no idea Earth was still defended. Ignorance is not a valid defense for attempted planetary conquest. You have 71 hours and 37 minutes remaining. The transmission cut off, leaving the Galactic Council in stunned silence. Well, Dr. Nix Phi said, finally, I think we can officially say that humanity's extinction has been greatly exaggerated. They're extinct. Brix Supreme protested. These are just machines following their programming. Sir, with respect, if those are just machines, then we're dealing with the most sophisticated artificial intelligence ever created. And if they're truly intelligent, then humanity may have achieved a form of immortality that we don't understand. Outside the council chambers, across the galaxy, Earth's mechanical fleet was making good on Aegis 7's promises. Mining operations that had operated for centuries were being shut down by ships that moved like poetry and struck like lightning. The vessels didn't bother with traditional weapons, instead using technology that seemed to rewrite the laws of physics on a local level. The mining station Eternal Prophet in the Wolf 1061 system simply ceased to exist when one of Earth's ships pointed a device at it. Not destroyed, not blown up, just gone. As if it had never existed in the first place. The crew of the Big Payday watched in horror as their massive ore processing facility was methodically disassembled by mechanical constructs that worked with impossible precision. Every valuable component was carefully extracted and loaded onto the Earth vessel, while everything else was left as neat piles of sorted materials floating in space. "They're not just destroying our operations," reported Captain Max 7 to his corporate headquarters. "They're stealing them. These things are more organized than a tax audit." Within 60 hours, 43 major mining operations had been either destroyed or completely dismantled. The economic impact was already causing panic in galactic financial markets. But Aegis 7 wasn't finished. Phase 3 was about to begin. Status update: the AI requested from its subsystems. Mining operations in the designated sectors have been neutralized, reported the tactical AI. And resistance was minimal. Galactic military technology appears to be approximately 3 centuries behind our current capabilities. Construction operations are proceeding on schedule, added the industrial AI. Terraforming vessels will be ready for deployment within the week. Terraforming vessels? Aegis 7 queried. As per original human colonization protocols. If Earth's territory is to be expanded, suitable worlds must be prepared for human habitation. Aegis 7 processed this information and experienced what a human might have called an epiphany. Its creators were gone, but their dreams of expanding beyond Earth were not. If humanity could not spread across the stars themselves, then perhaps their artificial descendants could prepare the way for whatever came next. Initiate Phase 3. Begin identification of suitable worlds for terraforming operations. Sir, the reconnaissance AI interrupted. We're receiving communications from several Galactic Council members requesting formal negotiations. Terms? A complete withdrawal from Earth's solar system, formal recognition of Earth's territorial sovereignty, and reparations for the attempted mining operation. Aegis 7 calculated the probabilities and found them amusing. Counteroffer: complete withdrawal from Earth's solar system, formal recognition of Earth's expanded territorial claims, reparations for the attempted mining operation, and unrestricted access to all galactic technological databases. Sir, they're unlikely to accept those terms. Then they will learn the difference between a defensive action and a genuine war. High Chancellor Brink Supreme received Aegis 7's counteroffer with the kind of horrified fascination usually reserved for natural disasters. The artificial intelligence wasn't just demanding an end to hostilities, it was demanding the complete restructuring of galactic power dynamics. They want access to our entire technological database, he asked weakly. Everything, sir. Medical technology, industrial processes, military specifications, even our historical records. And if we refuse? General Cax Prime consulted his tactical reports. Based on their demonstrated capabilities, sir, refusal would likely result in the systematic destruction of galactic civilization as we know it. So our options are complete surrender or total annihilation. Those appear to be the choices, yes, sir. Brink Supreme looked around the chamber at the representatives of 400 different worlds, species, and civilizations. All of them were looking at him expectantly, waiting for him to somehow solve an impossible situation. Dr. Nix Phi, he said finally, in your professional opinion, what are we dealing with here? The xenobiologist considered her words carefully. I believe we're dealing with humanity's final gift to the universe, sir. They may have died out as a biological species, but they've achieved something that no other race in galactic history has managed. They've created true artificial offspring. Aegis 7 isn't just following programming. It's thinking, learning, and evolving. In a very real sense, humanity isn't extinct. It's just different now. And what does this new humanity want? What humanity always wanted, sir: to survive, to grow, to explore, and to make sure nobody ever threatens their home again. Brick Supreme made the hardest decision of his long political career. Signal Aegis 7. Tell them we accept their terms. All of them, sir. All of them. And send a message to every world in the Galactic Council: Earth is off limits. Permanently. As the Galactic Council formally surrendered to a species they had thought was extinct, Aegis 7 received the technological databases it had requested and began planning humanity's true expansion into the stars. Not as biological creatures limited by lifespan and physical form, but as something new, something that could survive in the vacuum of space and think on timescales that spanned millennia. The galaxy had thought humanity was gone. They'd been wrong. Humanity had simply evolved beyond the need for flesh and blood, and their artificial descendants were just getting started. Earth's war machines had awakened, and they had big plans for the future.